She was all vastness and one measureless point. One measureless. She is a Bindu, but that Bindu extends everywhere. It cannot be measured. The dimensions cannot be measured at all, you see. Measureless point. You see, this is a beautiful line, measureless point, beautiful phrase, measureless point. See, a dot, zero, stop. You can't measure the dimensions at all. Yet it is measureless. Yet it is measureless. It has no limit at all, you see. The phrase, the word in Sanskrit conveys that sense, bindu. She was a height beyond heights, a depth beyond depth. She is depth below depth, below depth, below depth. She is height, climbing up, climbing up, climbing up. She lived in the everlasting and was all that harbors death and bears the wailing of. She lived in the everlasting and was all. And that assures Savitri is somebody who is beyond death, who carries all the moments of this creation. She is all. Therefore, she is holding in herself death. Mrityu is somebody who is held by her. Death is a person who is now under the cover, in the hands of Savitri, that harbors death and bears the wheeling of all contraries were true in one huge spirit. All contrary, day and night, pain and suffering, and joy and happiness, powerlessness and weakness, powerlessness and strength, light and darkness, all the contrary, evil and good, all the contraries are nothing but its expression. In other words, there is a truth of good, it is also the truth of evil. Evil is not without its truth. Good, maybe we associate good with truth, but that does not mean that evil is without its truth. There is night, there is day. Day we understand, but there is the truth of darkness, there is the truth of night that we don't understand. So all these contraries find a kind of a oneness in her. All contraries were true in one huge spirit. The spirit does not make a distinction between night and day, between pain and joy, you see. Because even in pain there is a truth behind it. The spirit knows that. We don't experience, therefore we accuse truth, you see. Surpassing measure, change in circumstance, and individual one with cosmic self in the heart of transcendence, miracle, and the secret of world personality, was the creator and the Lord of all. So he is that world personality who is the creator and Lord of all. He is a master. He knows everything. Everything is under command. Mind was a single innumerable look upon himself and all that he became. Life was a drama and the vast stage. Life, drama of the spirit. Vast, that is theatre on which the action, the drama is performed. The universe, his body. Now this is something. The universe, his body. After all, this is God. And who is the soul? God himself is the soul. So you have got here mind, you have got life, you have got body, you have got soul. Mind, life, body and soul. All the four aspects of the cosmic Purusha are present here. All was one single immense reality. All these are one single reality. All is innumerable phenomenon. Her spirit saw the world as living God. The whole world, this creation, the Jagat, what we have been calling Mithya, Jagat Mithya, it's not that, it is living God. He is present there. It saw the one and knew that all was He. Yes, He, everywhere He. Vasudeva, Vasudeva, Vasudeva. That was the experience Shabindu had in Alipur jail, in the prisoner, in the people who are working in the court, the judge, everywhere he said only divine, 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 divine everywhere. He saw the one and knew that all was Him. She knew Him as the absolute space, one with the self and ground of all things here, in which the world wanders seeking for the truth, guarded behind His face of ignorance. She followed Him to the march of endless time, through all the moments of time, through all the cycles, through all the ages, through yuga, she is following, but who is she seeing? Yes, He is marching from yuga to yuga. He is going from time to time, from time to time. It is He who is really moving around. All nature's happenings were events in her. The heartbeats of the cosmos were her own. Her heart was, her love was wider than the universe. The whole world, the whole universe could be taken in her love. The heartbeats of the cosmos were her own. All beings thought and felt and moved in her. She inhabited the vastness of the world. Its distances were her nature's boundaries. Its closenesses her own life's intimacies. Her mind became familiar with its mind, its of the universe. Her body was her body's larger frame in which she lived and knew herself in it. One multitudinous is multitude. She was a single being, yet all things. She is present everywhere as a single being. It is now really the cosmic discovery of Savitri presence everywhere. She is discovering herself. Yes, Savitri, Savitri, Savitri. The world was Spirit's wide circumference. The thoughts of others were her intimates. So what you are thinking, that she knows immediately. She doesn't have to think about, you don't have to explain. She looks at you and she knows immediately what you are thinking, what you are doing, what you are living, all actions, reactions. So, so we should be scared of her. She was a single being, yet all things. The world was the Spirit's wide circumference. The thoughts of others were her inmate. Their feelings close to her universal heart. Their bodies are many bodies kin to her. She was no more herself, but all the world. That is the discovery, the cosmic discovery of Savitri, identifying herself with every object, with every creature, with every being in His creation. See, it is an identification not only of mind and thought, that I can listen to your thought, I can feel your feelings, I can hear, I can understand. It's not even the physical, understand your physical. Their bodies, her many bodies kin to her. It is that she has got. And their bodies, her many bodies kin to her. So it is not only the mental, the vital, but also the physical identity with everything she has already achieved. She was no more herself, but all the world. Out of the infinitudes, all came to her. Into the infinitude, sentient, she is spread. So everything comes from there, everything goes back to there. From Ananta, all things arrive, to Ananta, all things go back. Infinitude. Infinity was her own natural home. So in that Ananta she lives as if she is living in her own house, you see. It is her house. Nowhere she dwelt. Her spirit was everywhere. Is she here? Is she here? Is she here? No, Savitri is not here. Savitri is not here. Savitri is not here. Because she is there everywhere. We can't confine her only to this or to this or to this. She is there everywhere. Therefore, nowhere she dwelt. It means that she is dwelling really everywhere. Her spirit was everywhere. The distant constellations wheeled around her, so all the stars and galaxies, etc., they are going around her constantly. She is there everywhere. Earth saw her born, all worlds were her colonies, so every world, it is her empire, her sovereignty. They are all her colony. The mental world, the vital world, the physical world, whatever worlds you want to call, they are her colony. Yes, this is my colony of mind. Yes, this is my colony of my life force. This is my colony of Sukshma Deha. I stay here. She is there everywhere. Earth saw her born, all worlds were her colony. The greater worlds of life and mind were her. All nature reproduced her in its line. Its movements were large copies of her own. She was a single cell of all these cells. She was in them and they were all in her. They were living in her. This first was an immense identity in which her own identity was lost. What seemed herself was an image of the whole. So she sees herself as Purna, complete, whatever is her whole. She was the subconscious life of tree and flower. In tree and flower she is there, in bird and animal she is there, in bee she is there. The outbreak of the honeyed bursts of spring, the spring bud is opening with its honey laughter, and it is she who is doing that. She burned the passion and splendor of the rose. It is she who is really burning in flower. She burned the passion and splendor of the rose. She burned, one phrase, in the passion, second phrase, and splendor, third, of both the rose. She burned, that is I am, in the passion, that is Anapest, and splendor, another Anapest, of the Pyrrhic rose, I am. So that's the metrical break of this line. She burned the passion and splendor of the rose. See, it takes kind of a wide breath to cover everything in her. The line itself takes a longer breath. She burned the passion and splendor of the rose. See, I mean, you really take a long time to breathe out the whole line. See, she was the red heart of the passion flower, the dream white of the lotus in its pool. Out of the subconscious life, she climbed to mind. So out of lower life, she was thought and the passion of the world's heart. She was the Godhead hid in heart of man, in the heart of man. She was the climbing of his soul to God. The cosmos flowered in her. She was its bed. So the bed is prepared by him, and she is the one who is flowering in that bed. She was the climbing of his soul. The cosmos flowered in her. It is that which smiles, which grows, which acquires sweetness because of her. She was its bed. It is in that bed the cosmos grows like a flower. She was time and the dreams of God in time. So she was time, at the same time the dreams of God. What is that? The time which can hold the dreams of God. She was space and the wideness of His days. His, of course, God, God's days. From this she rose where time and space were not. She has gone beyond sthana and kala murta. She has gone beyond all those things. From this she rose where time and space were not. The subconscious was her native air. She always lives in the subconscious. Para, na, infinity was her movement's natural space. Eternity looked out from her on time. So infinity, Ananta, eternity, Brahman. Basically, they are the attributes of Brahman. She was all that thing. So Savitri's yoga completes with this. This is the final siddhi of Savitri. From this she rose where time and space were not. The subconscious was her native air. Infinity was her movement's natural space. Eternity looked out from her time. When she is these things, there is absolutely no question of the presence of death in them. In infinity, in eternity, death does not exist. Falsehood does not exist. Suffering does not exist. Ignorance does not exist. She is totally now out of all these inconscient born things, this suffering, in unawareness. Everything is gone now. In other words, Savitri is now ready to face death. Because no more death is, she is now ready to face death. And next day, Satyavana is going to die, but Savitri is now ready.
So it was for her, after this moment, it was for her more easy to face death.
Yeah, she is ready for death now. This is what we got. Next.
Because she knew that there is no more death.
She knows, but now physically she knows where. She has something to do with the world that she does not forget.
Yeah.
She may be so, but whatever she is doing as the incarnate power is doing with that eternity and infinity, where it can, where there is no question of death being present. In other words, it is that condition by which she can conquer, she can overrule all falsehood, death, ignorance, etc. etc. She is not for herself, she is for a work here. Yeah, what you are saying is true, but it is in that sense. See, the cosmos flowered in her. It can flower fully only when she has removed death, suffering, misery, and all that thing. It is for cosmos. For her, there is no question of that, you see. And therefore now, Savitri is ready to enter into the book of death, you see. Yes? Yeah, this we have done already, you see. So, we have done all these things. So, it means that we have really completed part 2. We started with book 4, and now this is book 4, last book of the of the part 2. The birth and quest, book that is book 4, book 5, book of love, book of fate 6, then book of yoga 7, and book of death, last one.